Aggies look to amp up others' love for physics and engineering through outreach. Student Senate fails to override a veto in its first meeting, and the Student Government Association asks for applicants to fill 16 empty Senate seats. Howdy, I'm Ana Renfroe, and welcome back to the Batt Signal. Texas A&M physics and astronomy students and staff are preparing to connect with the public at the upcoming Spring Physics and Engineering Festival. This year, it'll be returning for its 22nd time in April. The festival was originally created in 2003 by physics professor Edward Fry, who invited the world-renowned physicist Stephen Hawking to view work at A&M. Over the years, it has received thousands of attendees and typically features lectures, hundreds of hands-on demonstrations, and features a science circus. With 400 volunteers usually taking part, there are many opportunities for students to volunteer at the festival, from setting up and organizing to running demonstrations and engaging with the public. Physics professor Dr. Tatiana Yurihimova helps organize the flagship festival. However, online, Yurihimova is widely known as Dr. Tatiana, known for her wildly exciting physics demonstrations. From posting some of her presentations, Texas A&M Physics and Astronomy has over 2.4 million subscribers on YouTube and 1.5 million followers on TikTok. Both contain 60-second videos of her performing her viral experiments, garnering hundreds and millions of views. Yurihimova said scientists should share their research with the general public and get involved in outreach. Yurihimova said, "If we rely on just these rock star physicists who can go on the big stage and give superb presentations, that we will lose a lot of talent." In 2020, the flagship physics festival underwent significant changes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yurihimova said the festival's a tradition and then the pandemic hit, but their small team didn't give up and instead learned how to run a TV station during a very short period of time. She said their team put together a very successful virtual festival where people from around the country tuned in. Yurihimova said if scientists share talking about their passions or what excites them most, people will listen. Physics and math senior Kennedy Hatcher served as the president of the Society of Physics Students. Hatcher had Yurihimova as a professor for introductory electricity and magnetism, and Hatcher said Yurihimova's fun teaching style encouraged her to get into physics. Hatcher said Yurihimova teaches classes the same way as she does her shows and outreach demonstrations. Hatcher plans to continue her own involvement in outreach and spreading physics to the community. Hatcher said she has learned a lot from explaining the demonstrations and interacting with people at past festivals and has gained so much from public speaking. Physics senior Jacob Bowyer serves as the outreach director of the Society of Physics Students, helping connect the public with the magic of physics. Bowyer said he thinks physics to someone who doesn't know so much about physics is the closest thing they can get to magic. Every month, Hatcher and Bowyer's organization travels to downtown Bryan to participate in First Friday. With them, they bring activities to demonstrate for the public while passing out flyers to help advertise upcoming physics festivals. Their goal? To get people interested and excited for physics. Similarly, Yurihimova said there's another program at A&M called the Mitchell Institute Physics Enhancement Program, which helps train the trainer. The 2-week-long program in the summer aims to teach fundamental physics concepts through problem-solving, hands-on demonstrations, and in-lab experiences. Yurihimova said the physics department invites teachers who didn't have a chance to learn physics when they were students. Yurihimova said she sees the program she organizes as beneficial in many different ways, including for students. What's the best way to learn something? To explain it to others, she added. She said by explaining these physics concepts to the general public and building new demonstrations, that students will get invaluable experience, developing conceptual understanding, building their professional identity, improving their communication skills, and learning how to work in teams on common projects. If you're excited to see what Yurihimova's team and other Aggie scientists have for the general public, the A&M Physics and Engineering Festival will be held on Saturday, April 13th from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The event is available to all members of the public at no cost to them. On January 24th, Texas A&M Student Senate failed to override Student Body President Andrew Applewhite's veto of a legislation by a vote of 26-23. This proposed legislation would have made a student body vice president position electable by the students. Despite the legislation passing in the Student Senate by a count of 32 to 4 when it was initially introduced, the Student Senate failed to meet the 75% requirement to override Applewhite's veto from December. Diversity and Inclusion Chair Benjamin Prewitt said, in his defense of the veto, that having more opportunity for the student body to vote is more valuable than giving the executive branch more power to choose who inhabits it. Prewitt also emphasized the importance of having another elected official behind the student body position in the line of succession. Prewitt said the entire purpose of having this position be elected was to ensure that if the presidency is vacated because of illness, impeachment, or some other reason, that the person who succeeds the president is an elected official. While the presidency has had multiple impeachment attempts and resignations, the impeachment of former student body president Hudson Krause was a significant moment in A&M student government history. Krause's impeachment raised concerns over the current line of succession, as the Speaker of the Senate will become president if the previous is removed. While the current vice president position is not elected by the student body president's selection for the position must be confirmed by the Student Senate under the current system. The student senators are all individually elected by the student body. Legislative Relations Chair Corbett Armstrong said the Student Senate's confirmation of the vice president is the voice of the student body. To say that the Student Senate cannot accurately represent the student body in their confirmation is to say that they shouldn't be here doing this at all, Armstrong added. Armstrong said the idea that every person in student government needs to be elected by the student body would invalidate all of the appointments of previous administration of the Student Senate at A&M. Following the January 24th meeting, Student Body President Applewhite offered timing as the main reason of his veto for the legislation. However, the veto pushed the constitutional change close enough to the upcoming election to force this potential change to take effect in the next year's election cycle at the earliest. After acknowledging that the timing was no longer an issue, Applewhite said another concern of his was the haste of this decision. Applewhite said in a January 25th statement that the meeting that this piece was passed, many senators floated the idea of tabling this to do more research. Applewhite said, however, the piece was voted on that night. Applewhite also said he did not believe that this vote was truly representative of the student body. Many senators had already left the meeting to study due to this vote taking place at around midnight on the Wednesday of the week before finals last semester. In his statement, Applewhite wrote that the executive vice president has traditionally been someone who is elected for their own merit for the job rather than their electability. He believes this creates a good working relationship between the executive cabinet, the administration, and the rest of the Student Government Association. Applewhite also reinforced his confidence in his conclusion due to the advice he received from past student body presidents about the issue and the support that his side of the argument was received from the senators themselves, as a majority of them voted to uphold Applewhite's veto. Applewhite said the majority of the Senate ended up agreeing with his sentiment, so he is very confident that this was a true opinion. The Texas A&M Student Government Association is looking to fill 16 vacancies in the Student Senate. The deadline to apply is Monday, January 29th. Any student, including international and graduate students, can apply online at tx.ag/vacancy. The process of choosing new senators will be finished before Wednesday, February 7th, when the new senators will be sworn in. They will be selected by current senators of the caucus for which they apply to. Speaker of the Senate Marcus Glass said filling the vacancies is important to ensure the Student Senate is working effectively. Glass said the Senate is practically the voice of the student body, so that's why trying to ensure that the body is completely filled to the best of its ability ensures proper representation. Glass said the Student Senate is responsible for representing students by working with the university administration. The Student Senate enacts campus legislation and policies on behalf of the student body, along with aiding advocacy efforts, Glass said. Glass said he believes that some of the work that they do happens behind the scenes, such as meeting with administration. Some of the senators serve on university committees, so there's a whole wide range of input that senators try to give university administration, he added. Glass said that if students are passionate about pursuing selfless service and making an impact at A&M, that the Student Senate is a great opportunity. Glass said, for students who want to represent others and are trying to make a difference in some of the things that happen at A&M, he thinks that joining the Student Senate is a great way to do it. For more information on all the stories featured in today's episode, visit our website at thebat.com or pick up a print edition available on stands every Thursday. This week's contributors are Cameron Gibson and Justice Jensen. Make sure to check out previous episodes of the Batt Signal, Home Turf, and Calculated Culture, available wherever you get your podcasts.